Morning, Mother Oafers. It is Friday morning, the end of the work week for some of us. And for me, tonight is our traditional daddy-daughter dance at my youngest daughter's elementary school. And so this is the last one for us. I was her older sister. I was able to go to the first daddy-daughter dance with her, and of course this will be the last one that I go to. The next time we have one, it's gonna be at their weddings. So that's pretty wild to think about. And of course, as we all know, time flies. So I'm excited for it. And my other daughter has got her first play tonight. Now, that's obviously a bit of a problem. We're going to make an attempt to be at both somehow, but right now the priority is to be at the daddy-daughter dance. Because it is the last one, there won't be another. And I do plan that, or expect that my oldest daughter will have more plays to come. So I'd love to be at both, but we're setting a priority. We're setting a priority to all right, there we go. So we're setting the priority to, well, you know what? There we go again. So what's been happening this morning after I changed some things up is the webcam's freezing up again like it was in some of the previous. Some of the previous streams that we've had in the past. So the only thing that's really different is that there's an extension cable on the USB, and though it doesn't make a lot of sense that would be causing the issue, about a 40-second delay this morning, Will. Yep, okay, thank you. So hopefully we won't freeze anymore. I'm going to try not to mess with too much. Everything else seems to be working fine this morning, but oh, there we go again. We froze. Well, what we're going to do is I'm just going to turn the camera off, because it seems to be a bit of a distraction, and we're just going to concentrate on riding this morning. I hope nobody misses my beautiful face. But anyway, so yeah, tonight is the last daddy-daughter dance that we have, and I'm excited for it. It means a lot to my daughters to do that kind of stuff with them, especially my youngest. She's definitely our girliest girl of them all. I do have a 24-year-old stepdaughter also. But for my youngest, this is a big deal. You know, she makes sure she goes out and gets to dress. Last year was the last time that my biological oldest daughter had this dance, and she wore pants. So she went out of obligation, not because it was something she really cared to do. So hey, and they're all their own, man. You know, it's not something that it's not something I worry a whole lot about. My goal for each one of them is just to be good people. Yeah, I wish I could do that. I'm gonna set up a different scene here in the future, so when this happens, I could have some other type of graphic there, maybe just a picture of me or something if it matters. But so we've had another thing that's been going on around here is we've had a crazy winter so far. Last night, starting after dark, the wind started to come through here pretty strong. I'm not sure what the gusts were, but I live on what we call a 2-track, and so I live down a closed road, and I'm the only house back here, and most of the time that is a great blessing. Last night with that high wind, I got to be reminded of my responsibility for this luxury that I have, and that was a fairly large tree that was across the road, and there's nobody to call. I don't get to call the county or anybody else when something like that happens. It's all me, man. So, dress clothes and all, I had to walk all the way back to the property, get changed, get the chainsaw out, make sure it was up and operating, full of fuel, and walk back down to the tree. And it was probably, I would say, 14-inch diameter. So it was pretty good size and very dense wood. I don't know what it was. I wasn't really that concerned with it. Fortunately, I drive a 4-wheel drive truck. It's almost a requirement living back here. So I made my 2 cuts, hooked the chain up, moved it to the side, drove past it, and pulled it out of the way permanently. So that's how I got to start my wind down for the night after work. So it wasn't exactly what I was looking forward to, but again, it's something I was reminded of. And the wind's still blowing very heavily. I can tell you that I discovered one of my windows has lost its seal last night because the wind was howling through it. I didn't know that I had that issue. So something else I'm gonna have to look into when it's daylight. So hopefully today, as the weather chills out a little bit and the wind stops, so we can get some other work done and tonight's daddy-daughter dance isn't impeded upon. If anybody has stumbled onto this morning, I'll do a little house cleaning. I'll let you know what's going on here. So my name is Dave Bernard, and January 4th I was supposed to have an umbilical surgery, and the surgeon basically, in so many words, said I was too fat, didn't I want to wait, told me all the complications of being obese and having that surgery. And so we chose together to hold off on having the surgery, even though he would have went ahead with it if I was willing to take the risk of the complications. And so I knew I had to get back on track and start losing weight. I had been powerlifting for quite a few years, and so what powerlifting did for me was gave me an excuse to overeat again. And you can see on the right hand side my before and after pictures from 2012, where I had lost, I believe, 67 pounds. And sorry, I'm reading the message. You know, I'm sure I could have reached out to somebody in the world to help me out on that tree last night, but it's not the first time. I'm prepared for it. I kind of got a routine of what I need to do when it happens. And I guess if the chainsaw would have stopped working properly, or the truck would have not been able to pull a tree, or if I would have had any issues at all, I could have reached out to my neighbors. But I'm kind of used to it. It's been a couple years since I've done it, but I mean, my other choice would have been just to leave the truck at the end of the road and walk back this morning and dealt with it. But I have a propane delivery this morning, so I didn't see that as a choice. I just needed to get it done. And I got too many other things going on today to be worrying about it. Now, with the high winds from last night, there's a good chance that I'll have to deal with some more this morning, and if that's the case, you know, that's life, right? Anyways, back to the prelude, I guess. If you see the before and after picture on the right hand side, that is obviously not me now. That is from 2012, when I was one of the national really runners up for transformation of the year for a company that at the time I was representing. And that was not a 90-day increment deal, but that was 8 months of transformation, and that was me basically being unemployed. So I want to make sure all the facts are out there. I don't want anybody thinking that that was something that I could have even done in my circumstances today. Though I need to do it again, and I want that to be my motivation that I can, and hopefully a motivation to some of you that you can. But that was 8 months. All I had to worry about was, for at least 6 of those months, was working out and eating right. Now, I didn't have a trainer. I didn't have anybody else telling me what to do. I did use a nutritional system, but that was it. That was the only help I've gotten. And the reason, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get some kind of a trainer or professional to help you. I just happen to have studied the topic at the university. And so I actually have a bachelor's of science degree in exercise sciences, along with a concentration in kinesiology and physiology. And so I know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. Now, I chose not to follow that career path. I ended up working for General Motors right out of college in a management position, and then into an engineering position, completely different than what I went to school for. But when I got there, I really did like it. So I guess the point of all that is that I've got the knowledge, just don't always have the willpower or the motivation. Well, some of the motivation at this point right now is that I do like weightlifting. And it's something I just can't safely do right now because of the hernia. And so for me to get back to that activity I like, I have to have the surgery. And to have the surgery, I've got to lose the weight. The surgeon said he wanted me down to a BMI of 35, which for me is 244 pounds. So it's not a matter of if I'm going to do it, it's more of a matter of how long is it going to take. I think I could probably get there by October of this year, but because my circumstances are a little bit different this time around, I want to, I've given myself until January of 2020. Now that 2020 timeline is also because I would rather use my deductible next year in January, so I'm covered for the entire year, instead of in October of this year, where I've only met that deductible for the last couple of months. If you're watching from another country, you may not understand that, but those are some of the thought processes we have to go through over here. Now, if I have an emergency and I meet the deductible because of that emergency, then I'll go ahead and have the surgery this year, because in reality it'll just have been the same thing. But yeah, the truth is I want to get back to weightlifting. Hopefully my ego will fix itself over the next few months, and I won't feel obligated to lift every single plate in the gym, which seems to be an issue for me. But, and then you'll probably want to know why I'm doing this instead of going to a gym. Well, it's because I don't have control and I would be lifting too much weight if I went there. I'd be lifting weight, period, and eventually I'd be lifting too much weight again, and it's too big of an risk for me. So I love biking. I bought a Wahoo Kickr 2018 model. I'm riding a Willard 2018 gravel bike with a 9-speed cog, and I'm just getting my body used to all this. I've been at it for a few weeks now, pushing a month total. I can't remember the exact date that all this started, and then the other part of this is that I'm just learning how to stream, and so I've had a lot of technical difficulties doing that, and I've thrown a little money at it to fix those issues, but we still, as of this morning, have had my webcam freezing up again, which is a problem I've solved once. Looks like I gotta try to solve it again. So the only thing that's changed in the last 2 days is I had moved my system around and I put an extension cable on the for the cam link for the webcam, and I'm assuming that is what the problem is. Something in that cord my system doesn't like, I would assume. Now, my buddy Will's been here since day one on the streaming, and he can tell you that from a streaming standpoint, this has all gotten a lot better. From a physical standpoint, I'm able to ride a lot longer now and not take breaks. I'm not breaking any records, but I'm just trying to get my body used to riding for an hour, 3 days a week. The goal is to be able to ride 5 days a week, but right now I'm scheduled, if you want to watch again, for Monday mornings at 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time, and so Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on that same schedule. I am also not using anything that Zwift offers as far as training. I am literally just hitting the ride button. Whatever route we're on, I'm usually staying on. A couple of times so far I figured out how to change courses and stay flat. I don't think I did that today, so this is gonna suck a little bit. But it's been a good experience so far. Okay, I'll take a look at that too. I'll change up the USB ports and see if that's the issue. That's always, I mean, anything's possible at this point. So one of my biggest disappointments in the last 2 days, as it relates to my setting up my system, is that I added my 27-inch monitor back in, and I had just purchased a 32-inch monitor last week, and that's been working great. But I wanted the second monitor just so I could see this chat a little bit closer to me. Well, when I set it up, I ended up having a mouse lag. So basically the mouse would kind of jump around, and it would also make the video on Zwift jump around. It wasn't just Zwift, it was Yahoo, everything. So tried to look into some of the forums on what the issue was, and sounds to be a AMD Radeon graphics card issue, possibly. Could also be the proprietary motherboard that HP has in the computer. They suggested updating Windows, which I did, so I know that was all up to date. And then they talked about uninstalling and reinstalling the drivers for the graphics card. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't comfortable doing that, and so I didn't. So could that fix the problem? Yeah, it might, but I'm not in a position to do that. Well, if you guys want to know how slow I'm going, that lady that just ran past me will kind of give you a visual of what kind of shape I'm in. One other thing that's different today, but this has no effect on the camcorder, is I've added my Bluetooth earphones to the mix. so that I can listen to music while I'm riding. Just again to get rid of the monotony of doing this. Even though I am very occupied by the technical side of it. What's up? Hey man, you got here early today. Thanks, bud. Hey, you'll notice that I'm not on, my webcam's not on. It's because I've been having some new technical issues. The only thing that really changed is that I put an extension cable on because I moved where my computer was. So I have an extension USB cable hooked to my cam link, and now the camera's freezing up again. And I didn't notice that until this morning. And so because it was a new issue and it started at the beginning of this video, I went ahead and just turned the camera off. %, incline. So where do I see that number? Is that on the map? Yeah, this incline sucks, by the way, for me. Obviously not so bad for some of the other folks, but for me, this sucks. So that must be it. It must be that. Yeah, I mean, I had to throw money at this to get the stream to work. I'm very disappointed that my second monitor is causing issues and that it's a known issue out there. Because even from a productivity standpoint, when I get back to editing videos, I mean, I like having that second monitor. I think the only other option would be to, okay, thanks, Will. Yeah, on the map. So the only other option would be to go to a 4K 43-inch monitor, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money, man. Not right now. So one of the things about this monitor when I bought it was the price. It was the reason I got it, and I can't remember the exact model number right now, but it's a 32-inch. It's a 32-inch LG, and so it has a split-screen software that is inside the that you download when you get the monitor, and it recognizes that it's a monitor. It doesn't work on other monitors because I've tried it. But so I bought this 32-inch LG non-4K, and I think the better solution, and I should point out, sorry, is that it cost $179 US with free shipping from Electronic Express. It's not that price the day after, it's not that price today. Matter of fact, I even looked at it yesterday again because I was suggesting it to a friend of mine, and I think it's up to $222 US. So at $179, not that that's a small amount of money, but I recognized it was a good deal. It was more than 50, it was I think about 50% off at that time, or close to it. And so it wasn't a risky purchase. I mean, I think any monitor under $200 is usually a good deal. But again, I'm geeky, but I'm not an ultra geek, so I don't know all the details of every monitor and computer setup and hardware and you name it. I don't know all of that, so I don't know. You know, a lot of times I find out that I didn't make a great purchase after I made the purchase because I start running into some of the issues. But I think if money wasn't an option, I think for sure I would go with an LG 4K 43-inch with the same software split screen. The reason for the 4K is I think it would just make it crisper at that size. And so a 43-inch monitor, from my research, what it does for you, or what, I guess to give you an idea of what that size is, it's the equivalent of 4 21-inch monitors. And so you can have 4 21-inch monitors running at the same time, which is plenty big for most people. Even at 6 feet away, I would still be able to read that. The way I'm running my monitor right now is I actually have it 2 split screens side by side, and then I'm running Zwift at full screen in the background because it seems to give the best graphics on the OBS stream. But it's been a journey, man. You know, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money going through this, and relatively speaking, I haven't. But I've definitely spent money. Whew. All right, so now that guys, I appreciate showing me where the grade is, and I see I'm at 10% right now, or 9%. And I appreciate that knowledge, but I kind of wish I didn't know it. Because as soon as it started getting hard, I looked over there and went, fudge, this sucks. Oh, I guess I'll just try to concentrate my last 35 minutes on what I need to do the rest of the day to get ready for this daddy-daughter dance. Gotta make sure my suit's ready, my shirt's ironed. I've got a tie that matches her dress, which I was told was red. So, you know, the more important things in life. And then, of course, looking forward to the weekend with both of my daughters. And we have a benefit, not a charity, but a benefit to go to tomorrow for one of my high school friends' sons who has cancer. You know, great young man. I know his fiance very well. We used to work out together. And so tomorrow we're going to be, the three of us are going to be going to a cornhole tournament. And all right, so I'm not against cheating at this point, Will, but I don't know how to U-turn. So let me look here and see if I can figure that out. Unlock it. I do have a cheat sheet that I printed off. I don't know. If anyone of you want to tell me what button to hit to U-turn, I'll gladly do it. But right now, I can't read. I can walk and chew gum, but I apparently can't ride and read at the same time. Oof. So even this 5%er is hurting a little, but that's all right. Put a little more work in, maybe burn a few more calories, maybe get my body stronger. And if nothing else, get passed by every single person running on the course today. Yeah, I know. Only cheating myself. Right now, I could tell you the last couple days, I have spent a little bit more time looking at seats or saddles. And really, where I have the issue right now is what the YouTubers like to call my soft tissue area. So, the seat that came with the bike, or the saddle that came with the bike, is just getting me, it's kind of getting the twig and berries a little bit, and I want to look into some different saddles eventually. I like the, everything I've read about the Specialized power seats, and I've seen one in person. There's another seat, I think by Shimano, and I can't remember the name of it, that I started looking at yesterday. It's a little cheaper, and the reviews seem to be pretty good. The only complaint is that the nose on it is, the nose on it's a little bit wide, and so I wanted to do today's ride just to see how my body fit on this particular seat and see if a wide nose was going to matter. It doesn't seem that it will. So if I may end up, I'll put a link to that seat in the video later today, and get your guys' opinion of it. But that looks like a decent option to start. You know, it's not abnormal to make modifications to your bike. I mean, when engineers design stuff, they do it for the average guy, not for the fat son of a gun like me. I've already done the angle part, and it becomes uncomfortable if I point it down. So I've messed with the angle, the height, a lot of other things, and for whatever reason, it's just not working. Now, I think a lot of that's got to do with the indoor riding, because outdoor riding, there's a little bit more sliding forward and back that I noticed, and you seem to stay in one position most of your ride when you're riding on the on an indoor trainer. Oh, hey runner, hey runners, why don't you slow down so I don't feel like such an a-hole? I don't think they can hear me. That's kind of a dick move, I think, for them just to run by me that fast. Come on. Or you can say it's motivation for me just to keep on moving forward. Son of a gun. All right, well, at least we're halfway through all this. Hey, and there's somebody else almost as slow as me, but not quite. I think I want to go with this guy right here. I just want to stop, read my map, think about butterflies and lollipops and other stuff. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep riding. Try not to take any breaks. With this angle, I'm definitely not gonna, with these climbing that I've been doing today, I'm definitely not gonna be hitting any mile breaking ride today. I'm not gonna, I think the last time I rode I went over 11 miles in an hour, and that was the most I'd done on Zwift so far. And part of that was because I finally got the cadence sensor working properly with the Ant Plus dongle. But hey, whatever. Yeah, I'll start off this weekend and go back to one of the bike shops that are close to where my daughters live and just tell them what's going on. And I can talk to them, I guess Sunday. I'll just take the bike with me and see if we can come up with a solution. Woo! Oh, holy shit, I gotta take a small little break here, guys, and get a drink. Holy cow. Well, according to my beautiful American flag flying outside my window, the wind appears to be dying down finally. I don't know what the gusts were last night. It was enough to knock down a fairly sizable tree that I had to go out and cut up when I got home from work. And then, of course, I heard the wind howling all night long throughout the house and found that one of my windows has a severe leak. And so I have to deal with that soon. Yes, I am wearing padded cycle shorts, and I'm actually wearing the ones that I like the most. I have a pair of Specialized, and I'm not sure what the difference is in their padding, but out of every pair I've ever owned, these ones have been the best. Now, I do have a set of cycling shorts, cycling bibs shorts coming on Monday from Amazon that I'll be trying out. Can't remember the brand. It was a decent name brand, and they were 50% off, so I'm all about saving money. I don't know what it is, but I have this fundamental issue with spending over $100 US on shorts, on cycling shorts. I don't know. So when I see a pair that's knocked down, I do it. I use it. Oh, geez. Well, I can tell you I'm not getting revenue from that ad, Will. Or, oh, gotcha. You know what? When you go, that's one thing about Twitch is that when you first sign on, as far as for myself and obviously you, you always get an ad right away. It's the first thing you get. And so the other thing that I've been questioned from some of my friends that have watched me is, why do I have the adult content tag on my Twitch channel? Well, I haven't had a fit yet. I'm going to explain here. I haven't had a fit yet, but I tend to have a little bit of a Tourette issue sometimes, and I'll go off on a random tangent of not so pleasant words sometimes, and it's not something I want anybody under the age of 18 to have to witness. And so, though it can be funny at times, it's just not something I want anybody to have to witness. So that's why I have the adult content on Twitch. Warning, it's because I'm sure one of these days I'm going to get super frustrated, especially if I get into a point where I'm racing in the next year and I'm not doing well, and I feel like I should do well. That may trigger some fairly crazy talk. So that's why we have that. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I could go with thicker patty, and that would be an option. Obviously, that would be an option, but for me, I just like to try a seat that has a little bit of room for the boys, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of the route I think I'm going to end up going. For a long time, I really did think I was going to go with a Specialized power seat, but I think it's Shimano that has another brand of seat out there that seems similar for about what I think is half the price. If I can find that Shimano seat for the same price, so anything under $150, if I can find it, I'll probably end up purchasing it. But again, I don't want to spend over $200 because something in my mind said that's kind of dumb. So we'll see. Oh, well, I spoke too soon about the wind, though you guys can't see it. My flagpole looks like it's ready to fall down. So it looks like the temperature dropped significantly over the last hour. Let's see where we're at now. So we were at about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. We are now at 19 degrees. So we've had a 10 degrees shift in the last hour, and the wind is still gusting. But my internet's still working, so that's good. I'm not sure if you can see it on the Twitch side, but on YouTube description, for anybody that's wondering about the music playing in the background, it's a, I think it's called No Copyright Sounds. It is a YouTube channel, and as long as you reference them in your subject line, they let you use this music. It's one of the things that if you're just learning to stream, that you have to be extremely careful of. And I think Twitch has even got new rules out there too, but YouTube specifically has robots that are looking at every video out there, and they're looking for background music that's copyrighted. So any popular song or any song that you can hear on the radio, if you have that playing in your background, you're going to get a copyright strike. And it doesn't hurt your channel, especially a channel like this one where I don't have any real followers yet. It really isn't affecting anything. But down the road it could, if the channel grew to a size where I met the requirements to monetize. If I had too many copyright strikes, that would become an issue. And I've been in this path before with other channels, and don't know why I didn't learn my lesson, but I think the first or second stream I had my playlist going on in the background, and I had 14 copyright strikes on that YouTube video or stream. And so I didn't do that again. I've been subscribed to No Copyright Sound for a couple years now, and I can tell you, even though I don't have an idea what the heck is being said or played, it's just nice having that sound in the background to break up the monotony a little bit. Oh, woo! Woo! Man, guys, I had to take a break again. But as my buddy Will tell you, over the last couple weeks, I'm taking less and less breaks every time I ride, so that's a good deal, man. That part I appreciate, that my body's getting used to it, and sooner or later I'll be able to start doing a little more interval training so I can start breaking this fat loose. Now, yeah, I've been going at it for a few weeks now, but I haven't been putting in the amount of time that I'd like to on the bike, mostly because my ball sack hurts a little bit, but mostly because I haven't been eating the best. Now, if anybody was an astute viewer and is watching my other videos, you'll see that the first phorm logo is no longer there. Well, the reason for that is not that I don't think they have good products, but I was part of what was called a Legionnaire program, which is where you apply for the program. They review who you are, what your following is, what your potential is, and they decide whether or not you can be basically, I wouldn't say a sales agent, even though they put you through sales training, but I guess it would be more of an affiliate. Well, I met all of that, all of those goals, those interviews, primarily because of my 2012 transformation, not because of my current state of health. Even though I was an above average power weightlifter, I would say, that helped a little bit, but it was really that potential in the before and after picture. Well, one of the problems with the Legionnaire program, I'm going to bore you all a little bit right now, is that you're required to purchase 2 separate products in order to be in that program. One was a daily multivitamin pack, which had some good stuff in it, stuff you'd buy anyways, but it was packaged all together. CQ10, quite a few other things that were just good for your health, some probiotic, things like that. Well, the other product was OptiGreens 50, and that product on paper is amazing. It's good stuff. You look at the research of how they process it, nothing to complain about. However, for me, it tastes like hell. It tastes terrible. It was just, and so I would mix it with different things. I would try to put it in a shake. And I didn't want to have a shake every day, by the way. So my shakes were supplemental when I was in a hurry. And so, long story short, over the 6-7 months that I was a Legionnaire, I accumulated 2 full bottles of this OptiGreen. And it just dawned on me that that was a bit stupid. For me to be involved in a company that forces me to use a product that not only tasted like shit, but actually upset my stomach most days, that was insanity. And so it's not that I'm not going to use some of their products, because I do like them. It's that I'm not going to I'm not buying that product ever again. And so if I'm not going to buy their foundational product that is a requirement to be this Legionnaire, then there's no point in staying on that side of the program. So that's all. I'm just not representing the company anymore. unless they want to come to a compromise where I can supplement that OptiGreens product with something else, which I've already asked them and they said no. So again, kind of boring. I agree, man. Supplements are supplements. They're not a replacement. But I do know that for me personally, using meal replacement shakes here and there, just to make sure I get some of my macronutrition in, that works for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. Matter of fact, in a short time, I would say it can work for a lot of people. And I'll explain here in a second, but what ends up happening when you get on those kind of diet tracks, and really honestly pretty much any plan out there, is that if you follow it the way it's written, what it ends up being is a reduction in calories with hopefully the right macronutrition. And everybody's an individual, so your micronutrition may be different at times, different days, different times in the months for some people, but it's not bad to use even a meal replacement supplement if you know what you're doing and you have a doctor that's helping you, or you have the education that I have. Now, I'll tell you that the proof in that is that 80% of my days I followed this plan I'm going to tell you about back in 2012. So when you see that before and after picture, just know it was a result of what I'm about to tell you. What I would do is I would wake up in the morning, within 30 minutes of waking up, I would have a meal replacement shake. 2.5 hours later, I would have a small snack. Usually high in protein was the goal. A lot of times that was only 12 to 30 almonds. 2.5 hours after that, I would have a 200 to 400, sometimes 500 calorie lunch that was well rounded. So try to eat, I ate a lot of chicken during that time, a little bit of rice, some salads, just what you would generally consider a good healthy meal. 2.5 hours after that, I'd have another snack. Some days during that period of time, that would actually be some form of protein bar. Again, when my life was super busy, I didn't have time really to meal prep, or at least I didn't take the time to meal prep. And that's just how it was. 2.5 hours after that, I'd have another shake, meal replacement shake. And then because I had some, what I call mental issues, I just always felt like I had to eat late at night. And so I would have a final snack. And I would say, I mean, I said 80% earlier, but I would say I was 90% on track with everything I was doing that entire 8 months. So the time I exercised, what exercise I was doing, when I ate, what I ate, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that I was on a much reduced calorie intake from what I had been eating in that before picture. And so in that before picture, if I was to estimate the number of calories that I ate in a day, I would guess it to be anywhere between 3,000 and 6,000 calories a day, and exceeding that on some days. So, give me an example of how I ate. I didn't eat a slice of pizza if I ordered pizza. I ate the pizza. I didn't have a bowl of ice cream. I ate the canister of ice cream. And that example can go on and on and on. If my kids were eating, if they didn't feel like finishing what they're eating, I ate it. So, but I don't disagree that healthy eating is first. If somebody was trying to decide, well, should I go down the path of some kind of meal replacement program, or should I just figure out a good way to eat, the recommendation is always to eat. Now, supplements still should be taken because unfortunately this day and age, most of our food just doesn't have the right nutrition inside of it. And so taking good vitamins, I think, is important as a supplement. And I've been asked this in the past, what I think the number one supplement that anybody who's training should take and you know, and that means anybody. It's not just athletes, that's anybody. So I specifically state training. So if you're just starting to work out, or if you've been working out for a super long time, you know, getting that muscle recovery, I think, is very, very important. Without getting into the science of it, and I've been using this product since its inception back in the early 90s, and I still use it today when I'm training. Of course, I didn't use it for the 16 years that I didn't train, because what's the point? But that's creatine. I would say the number one supplement that anybody that's training any sport and or exercise routine, it is creatine. And so, whether you agree or disagree, it's a powerful product for muscle recovery, I think. It helps hydrate your muscles. Hydration is something that matters so much when it comes to recovery. And so it's not just hydration of your full body, it's hydration of your muscle cells. And there are some other benefits strength-wise for anybody that's their goal, is to get stronger, that creatine provides. But I would say, in my opinion, creatine is the number one supplement that you should invest in. And it's cheap. That's gonna be, I was just reading your message there. I'm gonna have to look him up, because that would be a great goal for me too, is to kick his ass, as you say. I mean, there's no question. I mean, once I get down under 250 pounds, this is all gonna get easier. And I don't know how far I can go with it. I'm really hoping that this becomes more an obsession of mine eventually, to where I put in the amount of time and work and effort that'll get me closer to 200 pounds than 300 pounds. 200 pounds is always going to be better for me, only because it's less work on your organs, it's less stress on your joints, it's all of the above. Now, I've had a lot of friends ask me if biking is good for weight loss, because they've heard a lot of different things. And the true bikers may disagree with me, just like runners disagree with me. But no, it's not the number one way to lose fat. It's not. Just the nature in which your heart rate is going. It's great for cardiovascular endurance, but it's not necessarily the best thing for fat loss. What I find better for fat loss is anything that involves interval training, and more specifically high intensity interval training. And I think you can do it with a bike, but it's more difficult. It's one of the reasons that you see a lot of people have some success in boot camps, but only boot camps that understand the science of weight loss. And by the way, it doesn't all work for everybody. So not everything works. Some people, their organs are in such poor condition that extra stress just is counterintuitive to what their goal is. And so they've got to step back and just get started. And that's where, for me, even bike racing makes a lot, or biking works. So any movement is better than no movement. So you just got to get on the bike, start moving again, get your ass used to the saddle, or buy a new saddle, figure that out, fight through it. But cycling is not the best thing for weight loss, but it's better than sitting on your ass and doing nothing, I guess is the way I would put it. For me personally, I've had several knee injuries through American football, and so it's a lot easier on my joints to do it this way than to do other forms of exercise, including running. I will tell you that I don't care if you're walking, if you're running, if you're biking, if you can make interval training a part of that process, it's going to help you with fat loss. And so what interval training, I'll give you an example of, let's say, a 20-minute interval. So that would be 8 cycles of 90 seconds, nice and easy. 30 seconds, as fast as you can go. And the fastest you can go is going to change over time. So that may mean more resistance or whatever, but what that does is that it manipulates your metabolism, and you'll actually get a metabolic burn. Some will say anywhere between 4 and 16 hours after the exercise is complete. There are different studies, but what that really means is that everybody's a little bit of an individual. And fast as you can go, or the effort you put in that interval, that 90-second interval, sometimes dictates your results. So only you know if you're doing your best or your hardest. Doesn't mean that. So your speed doesn't matter. It's the effort, and only you know if you're actually doing those things properly, or if you're actually putting the right effort in. So you can do it on a bike, you can do it walking, you can do it running. One of the things that I used to do back in 2012 was I would sprint. Once I got into a little bit of shape, so I was probably 4 or 5 months into it, was down to a decent weight, and I would do sprints. And I think I started off at 20 yards, so I would do 10 or 20 sprints at 20 yards. So I would sprint 20 yards and walk back to the start line, sprint another 20 yards, walk back to the start line. So that was my heart rate up, heart rate down, or interval training, and that worked for me. And I eventually got to where I was out closer to 70 yards, maybe 100 yards, but I'm sorry, I'm reading one of the messages here. You know, it's funny, I mean, when we start talking about performance enhancing drugs, it's, for me personally, I can sit on this high horse and tell you I've never taken any illegal drugs, any performance enhancing drugs. I've supplemented most of my life when I was training, but I never did take drugs. So I can sit on my high horse and act like that was because of my virtue. But the reality is, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have my phobia. Actually, I can almost tell you what I likely would have taken them. And I'll explain that here. Hopefully it's not too long of a story, but I have a phobia of needles. And so injecting myself with anything is, it's impossible. I can't do it. And I don't have my reaction is not that of cowarding or crying or fainting. My reaction is fairly violent. And so now I can't even have anybody else doing anything. I get better over time. So if I have to have blood work done, I just try not to pay attention. The pain doesn't bother me. Just something about the needle, something that must have happened when I was young. But for whatever reason, I have a phobia of needles. Now, when I say that, I know I probably would have actually used them. One of the things about me in my past was I was a very good American football player. I had potential from a very early age. I was the first most valuable player, the youngest most valuable player in my high school history. I was a captain of the football team when I was a sophomore. I was the first two-time MVP of my high school football team. But what I was told when I was around 15, 16 years old is, and I agree with that bodybuilders have to take drugs as part of their job. It's the only way to compete with everybody else doing it. But I'll just explain my story. So for me, when I was 15 or 16 years old, I was told by my coach, who had played university football, so knew a little bit. He told me I'd never be big enough. I'd never be big enough to play in college. I'd never be big enough to play in the pros. And I think at that time, well, I know at that time, I actually reached out to somebody that I knew and told him the story, and he said, well, I can get you some steroids. And they were supposed to be ingestible pill form. Well, I gave him, I think, $80, and he bought the products for me. And I took either one or two of those pills, and my girlfriend at the time heard about it. and suspected I was keeping them in my locker, and she was right. She broke into my locker and took them to the restroom and dumped them out. And I kind of looked at that as a sign that maybe I shouldn't be taking them. Now, that goes to my phobia of needles. If I didn't have that phobia, I had several friends that did take steroids back then, and they were accessible, and I would have probably done that, just because being young and dumb, I would have done anything it took to get big enough to move on, to play football at the university level. Well, I did that anyways. I learned some very bad habits of overeating in order to get big enough. By the time I was 20 years old, my metabolism almost instantaneously slowed down, and I was able to start putting some good size on. I played most of my university career at around 230 pounds. And I paid, let's see, 3 of my 4 years I played running back and fullback, and then my junior year, because of injuries on the team, I also played defensive back, just because I was a little bit faster. But I was trying to figure out what that noise was. I didn't even notice. It's been an hour. So anyways, I appreciate everybody stopping by today. Sorry that we had a camera issue. It was great talking to you guys. I'm going to look back at the video later today and see if there's any questions, comments, advice that I missed. If I did, I apologize. I do plan on being back on Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time here in the United States. And hopefully we'll have the camera issue figured out. And it's been a better ride this time than all the other rides, and I think that'll just continue to get better as we move on. But again, thanks everybody that's jumped on. This actually helps me, whether you know it or not. It gives me the accountability that I need to make sure I get on here with the commitment of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I will soon be going to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at minimum. Now, there's a small chance that I'll start racing on the weekends, but that probably won't happen anytime soon. I'm still, like I said, trying to get my body right. But you may see me on Zwift here and there, and that's usually me just testing out either my equipment or, my equipment as far as my computer, cameras, microphones, all of the above, and or if I'm changed something on the bike or if I've gotten different equipment. So you may see me on here other times of the day. And I may start, I like the distraction of using the stream because it makes the ride go by better. So if you've never tried to ride on a trainer with just like a YouTube video going or just music going, that gets pretty boring pretty fast. So Zwift, along with streaming, I recommend to everybody who's even considering it. But I probably will do a few rides without streaming so I can learn more about how Zwift works. I've gotten past a lot of the technical issues, so we're not dealing with those. You guys don't have to listen to the jargled up music or the jargled up voice or the stream stopping and all of those other fun things. Okay, I'll take a look at that, man. I'll take a look at the racing league. So, so far my experience with Zwift in the Wahoo Kickr, it's been good. I mean, I want this to work. I need this to work, so that gives me a little motivation to get through all the issues that I've had with setting everything up. Almost all the issues have really been with my computer, with my screens, with my, peripherals. So one of these days when I feel like I've really got it down and we're consistently streaming properly, I'll put together a blog at oaflife.com so you can read up on what I've done and what I'm using to get the job done and what's worked for me. And but until then, we'll just keep riding along and we'll be doing it together. And please join me. Please subscribe to my channel to kind of push me along. When I know you're going to be there, it's hard for me not to show up. even on like last Monday when I only rode for 10 minutes because I was pretty much Super Bowl hungover, I still showed up because I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to say I was going to do something and then not do it. So you guys got any suggestions or any advice, please throw it at me. Otherwise, everybody have a blessed weekend. I will be at the daddy-daughter dance tonight with my daughter, and I feel blessed to have you all here and blessed to know that I have the opportunities that I do in life. Anyways, guys, have a great weekend. We will talk to you soon. We will stream you later.